right, it is time for what I've been watching, TV musings. Let's get this started. Hey everyone, it is Shannon, and I'm super excited to be here and to share with you this video. This is going to be some of the TV shows that I have finished recently, and this video is going to be about shows that were one season long or one season so far. So either it was an intentional mini-series situation, or it was canceled after one season, or only one season has been released and there's no information about if there's going to be more, which is the case for the first show. And even recently is a bit... I really mean since the last time I've done a video talking about TV, which has been a really long time, and I'm really sad about that because I love talking about TV and I love hearing what you guys are watching. And so I'm hopefully getting a lot of the videos that I haven't been doing as regularly to get back on track to doing them regularly. So I actually have a fair amount of TV to get caught up with. So I'm going to do this one and one about multi-season shows that I finished, and that'll catch me up with the end of last year. So these have been a while, so some of my impressions might have gone from specific to general, but I still have a very strong remembrance of how I felt about the show overall, and I don't do spoilers anyway, so I think it should be fine. I think it'll be fine. Anyway, let's get to the first show, which is The Chair. This is a Netflix original. It is a drama starring Sandra Oh, and she plays a character who becomes the first woman who is the chair of an English department at a university. I really enjoyed the show. It was sometimes a lot tougher than I expected. It is half an hour, so sometimes I'm like, is it a drama? But this says it's a drama. But it's not, it's not a press release, it's just this comment. But it is a drama. It is about people and ideas, and there's some politicking and negotiating and tough situations for when you're in power, expectations from other people, and then also, she has to deal with everyone coming to her and asking for ABC, and then so many people are and then dealing with any, situations that get escalated up. She is the chair, so she is the person who has to deal with it. I thought this was great. This is the one that I'm sad to say that I don't see any information about it being renewed, but I really hope that it is. That being said, it has been about a year since it came out, so I kind of feel like if it was going to, we would have heard by now. However, of course, with COVID, it's hard to tell schedules and stuff like that. So who knows? I thought it was a solid watch. I really enjoyed it. There was some tough stuff in this one, which makes sense with drama because it deals with topical issues, can deal with topical issues and relationship dynamics, being in a position of power, expectations, but I thought it was great. It also had some funny moments, and as someone who's in a family with several English majors, there were some familiar things about English departments, so I got a lot from it, and I really do hope to see more. It was a pretty short one. I didn't write it down, but I think it was sort of 6 to 8 episodes, and this actually lists it, I think, as, well, maybe it was a different picture I picked. Let's see. Yeah, this one has... The new Netflix show is so good you'll binge it in one sitting. So that is her with some of her fellow co-workers, and I still remember the character of this woman. Oh my gosh, her sub-story, her B-plot, with her character was great. I loved it, and there's still moments I think about with her character, and so I thought it was great. I don't know anyone who has seen it. I haven't heard a lot of chatter about it, but also I'm not someone who watches a lot of dramas, and it is in that sort of half an hour drama, so, but I think, running times aren't dictating genres anymore, so that's something that I need to adjust to. Next up, a show that I am sure many people have seen and or heard about, and that is The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This is one of the MCU, or Marvel Cinematic Universe. Actually, I guess it's not the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it's part of the Marvel Cinema, the Marvel whatever universe, non-cinematic universe, and it follows the character of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and so which are played by Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan. And so this is sort of pulling from characters that we see mostly through the Captain America films. So I guess I shouldn't say too much about it because it would be spoilers, so I'm not going to get specific. I will say I loved this series. It might be my favorite series from last year. It's kind of, their dynamic is a sort of resistant buddy situation. They're not on good terms, and they need to find a way to work together. And that's not always my favorite setup, to be honest. But to be honest, when I think of films like buddy cop movies like Hot Fuzz, which is one of my favorite movies ever, but that's a comedy. This is not a comedy, but there are some funny moments. But one of the things I think that this TV series was really successful at doing was it used topical and time, relevant situations and conflicts and depicted them and the results of them or the fallout from them, all of those things, in what I felt was really sensitive, realistic, not heavy-handed, but just direct ways. Like, it didn't ignore things, and it also didn't expand on things to make them more exciting in an action like how action movies do. So I thought it dealt with it very tactfully, multiple different topical, current issue type situations. So I thought it was great for that. Plus, I just love the characters so much, and it just feel so many times. But I feel so many times with current situations, you can go into cautionary tale or very heavy-handed or very directly a message, movie kind of situation. This is a TV show, but just those. And I just felt that it was sensitive and direct and felt very honest reactions. And I just thought that was brilliant. I also thought it was super cool that it's directed. The entire thing is directed by Carrie, I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name, Scogland. He's a Canadian director who directed episodes of Vikings and The Handmaid's Tale. And if you go way back to Catwalk and Traders and La Femme Nikita, which are all Canadian shows, and but also directed the film version of The Stone Angel, which I finally read this year. And I saw The Stone Angel at TIFF years ago. So that was super exciting to see a female director for an action TV series. I was really, really happy to see that. So that was excellent. I loved it. Actually, also a female director, and a female director is the reason why I came to this one, is, it says directed by, is The Undoing. Now, this is directed by Susan Bier, who is one of the directors that I was watching all of her works last year, and I think I got caught up to date with anything that was available. She is a Danish director, and some of her earlier work I just simply didn't have access to. But yeah, so she directed this. It stars Nicole Kidman and Hugh Grant. It's a sort of psychological thriller, but I guess people use the term domestic thriller because it's mostly about drama. It's not thriller there's some pretty intense things that go on, but I think domestic thriller might be the best term for it. It's based on the book You Should Have Known by Jean Hanff Korelitz. I will put everything I mentioned down below, which I haven't read and I wasn't familiar with. And for my preference now with anything that's a sort of a thriller or a mystery, I always prefer to see the adapted work first and then read it. Okay, there are exceptions. Agatha Christie, I want to read first because it's Agatha Christie. But generally speaking, I don't want to be comparing notes on the mystery elements or the thriller elements from book to screen, whether it's big screen or small screen. Anyway, this was a limited series. I think it was 8 or 9 episodes, and I would say it's a domestic thriller. So they're a couple, and they have a son who's oh gosh, I don't know age as well. Oh, I think he was in daycare. But walking around and talking. I don't know, maybe like 6 or something like that. 6 or 8, under 10 for sure. Under 10. I don't know a lot of ages, but definitely under 10. And I to be honest, I am fuzzy on what the story for this one was. I was mostly watching it because it was directed by Susan Beer, because she's a formidable director, and she's directed a new TV series called First Lady or something like that. It's a historical drama based on the American president's wives, which is, I think, currently on like the HBO-ish thing in the States. I don't know if it's available here. Anyway, so, but this one, it wasn't, like, I will say the psychological suspense elements were very present. I did not know what was going on. It was very curious. I felt like there were, I can't remember if I felt like there were too many or not enough red herrings, because it's a lot of build up to finding out the answer of one particular thing. And I felt like, actually, I do remember, I felt like there wasn't quite enough to support it. But also, this is not my favorite type of work. I do like long arc plots, but not really in a thriller or mystery scenario. So it was a bit of a disappointment. I will say the acting was pretty good, in particular by Nicole Kidman. I thought she was great, but I kept on wondering, like, what's the draw? Like, what are we supposed to, like, I could feel the tension of the situation and not quite knowing what was going on, but I didn't feel the drive behind it. Like, it did, like, you want an answer, you want a resolution, but I felt like I wanted a little more, like, meaning behind it, and so that felt a little disappointing. But I feel like, generally speaking, it's a pretty well crafted and well acted work. But I felt like it's a tough genre, because you're really, skating on thin ice, in terms of wanting to keep that and then wanting to feel like the resolve was a big payoff. I felt like they kept the tension. I didn't feel like so much in terms of the resolve being the payoff for me. So that was my opinion of that. But again, it's not my favorite genre, so I'm a harder sell on that. Next up, I watched The Haunting of Bly Manor. So this is actually based on The Turning of the Screw. And I did also watch the film The Turning, which is based on The Turning of the Screw. And I watched them semi near each other. And I have read it, and I did not like it. And so far, I have not really enjoyed any adaptations of it. So this is by the creator of The Haunting of Hill House, the TV series based on the Shirley Jackson novel. And that is excellent. Watch that, enjoy, especially if you've read the book. I thought it was brilliant and innovative adaptation of that work. This one didn't quite work for me as much. There was another picture. I had another picture of it somewhere that I forgot. I didn't save it. Maybe I can find it. One of the things that is kind of interesting about this one is they set it in the 80s, and so a lot of their clothes are very 80s. Oh, here it is. Like the jean jacket and the sort of higher waist, especially her, the central figure there, her clothing. And I kept on going, what is in this? And I'm like, oh, it's 80s. And then there'll be like a music cue. And I'm like, it's supposed to be 80s. Anyway, so how they structure the story, like what it's about is I believe she's American, but it's set in the UK, and she's hired to be a nanny. Not a nanny, like sort of a nanny, but also like a teacher person for a family in a big manor, and people are pretty evasive about answering questions. It's a horror suspense, kind of story. And I don't want to say too much about it because, I do think it's an interesting way that they relayed the story, but it's nowhere near as good as The Haunting of Hill House. Like, just nowhere near as good. But also, I didn't particularly like this story as much in any of its iterations. So, it was pretty, I liked some of the additions to the cast. A lot of the cast from Haunting of Hill House is in this, but as, different characters, which theoretically I think is interesting, but I don't feel like it worked so much because I kept on associating them with their other characters. And I will say, unfortunately, there was one accent in this that was very let's just go with distracting. I was like, where, what? No. And I also thought, sometimes I watch it on subtitles, which is always a bit of a gamble, I find, with horror, because sometimes you get the subtitle sound before you hear the audio cue, and audio in horror can be really, really creepy. So I wasn't happy with that, because I did find not only it wasn't ahead, but there was something that spoiled something. Like, there was a scene, and I'm like, and because it's horror, it's like, I'm not exactly sure, like supernatural horror, I'm not exactly sure what's going on in this situation. And then when I read the subtitles, it indicates something that definitively tells you something that you're seeing, and I was like, I had not even thought that could be the situation. So, and I know that it's can be tricky to caption things, but I just was not happy with that choice, because for me it completely spoiled who, like understanding that scenario. So anyway, I feel like there were some creepy moments in this one, and there were some episodes I enjoyed more than others, without question, and they did sort of feature, like the Haunting of Hill House, like different episodes was sort of focus on one character in particular, and several of the characters I was very invested in, and I felt very emotional when we saw their story, and other characters I didn't connect with as much, and those episodes felt really long. And so, that just tends to happen. I think it's a chance that you're going to run with using that format. Sometimes I thought it was very successful. Well, is it successful because I like that character more? I don't know. So that's actually a bit judgy of me. I don't know, but I think it is a risk with going with that format, that people will, probably resonate with some more than others, or maybe not. Maybe I am the only person who feels that way. I have no idea. So this was not a favorite, but I am glad that I finished it. But it made me sad because it didn't live up to Haunting of Hill House. The creator has gone on to do Midnight Mass, which is another series, it's not based on a book this time, as far as I understand, and I haven't seen it, so it looks like there's a religious theme, Midnight Mass, so that's not as much of an interest to me in terms of supernatural horror, but it does come up a fair amount. Okay, so last up for this list was one of my faves, and that was The Big Leap. Oh, that really kind of... see if I can get a good angle for that one. Might be the best I can get. So this was so good, and it wasn't renewed. I was so sad. So this was a drama with the premise of following contestants and creators of a reality competition series based on dancing, and I think it was it exclusively, it might have been a lot of the people, it was like second chance at dancing, or there was at least one person who had almost no dance experience at all, and this was great. It's actually interesting, it was based on a show called Big Ballet, which is a British docu-series, so it was actually not a reality competition series. Well, actually, no, it was a reality competition or a reality docuseries. I haven't seen it. So it's kind of weird to have a drama based on a docuseries, but it's what they did. But this, for The Big Leap, I loved it. I loved every episode of it. I felt like it had a really great balance of showing sort of like the TV making drama decisions, but then also the humanity cost of that, or when humanity, if you've seen Unreal, that was a great drama based on a reality competition series, but I've only seen season 1, so I can only speak to that, but it was great. It was intense, but it was great. But it's like that whole pushing people together or creating conflict because you need it for the show, because you have to push a narrative to the show, and then the fallout of that, if there is one, and then do the creators have any heart at all, and those kinds of things. It did deal with some very serious topics though, so that might be worth checking content warnings if you need them, but generally speaking, I loved the show. I think it was my favorite new show last year. It aired last fall 2021, finished by the holidays, by December, or the end of December or whatever, and unfortunately was not renewed. How come I always pick the ones that aren't renewed? I don't know. Anyway, I really enjoyed it, and it was a big win for me. So let me know, have you seen any of these shows? The Chair, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, The Undoing, The Haunting of Bly Manor, and The Big Leap. Wow, that's like four that are based on other work. So The Chair is an original work, but Falcon and Winter Soldier is part of the Marvel Universe. The Undoing and Haunting of Bly Manor are both based on books, and The Big Leap is based on another TV series of a different kind, because it was a docuseries. I wonder if that's available anywhere. So anyway, those are some of the shows that I have watched recently that are one season. Let me know, do you have a favorite recent one season show that you have watched? Sometimes it's nice to watch a show that's one season. I feel like I'm always in the middle of so many things, so it's nice to sort of complete something. So let me know your favorite one season show that you have watched recently, and I'll be back soon with another video. Thanks so much for watching.